A very complex storm system is on the way in the coming days. So, we're going to break down the details for you in this update and really expand the view this morning and show you over the overall big picture. And down here into the Caribbean, you've got a lot of crystal clear sky. So, if you're heading southbound into the Caribbean next week for spring break, it should have a lot of sunny skies for you. So just enjoy those conditions. But first and foremost, further to the north, this is the activity that's going to be taking shape. We've got this more active subtropical jet stream that will be the main player in the days ahead. Out ahead of it, we did have a little bit of a cool front that's more or less stalled as a warm front and kind of backing up as a warm front. But to the right of there, that's where we have the instability this morning, and that's where a low pressure center is off the coast of the Carolinas. That's feeding some elevated rain showers across those areas into the East Coast. But there's the overall temperatures for today. So that cold front will be backing up as a warm front, and still plenty of warmer conditions, especially along the central and eastern 2/3 of the US. The only cooler temperatures and even colder temperatures in town are going to be still trapped up there into Western Canada. Eventually that will be on the move, but that likely won't be on the move until Friday, heading into your Saturday time frame. But going into this afternoon, there's the satellite picture. So that little impulse of energy will be sending off little short waves out ahead of it. So we should likely start to see some instability try to form in West Texas along the warm front as we head towards dinner time. We should see some showers and thunderstorms start to break out across that region. And at the same time, we'll still have that low pressure center that will be continuing to traverse up the coast, elevating those rain showers, especially those areas into the coastal regions, into southern Jersey, back into Long Island, especially back into Rhode Island as well. So for the next 24 hours, this is what the rain showers look like. So you got the storm complex, the low pressure center that's highlighted across the East Coast, they're off the Carolina coast. Out ahead of it, to the right of that cold front, that's where the showers and thunderstorms will likely be. And the further you live along the coast, that's where those instabilities could play 1 to 2 inch rainfall estimates over the next 24 hours. And then there's that little short wave with that warm front backing up. That's where it could kick off some elevated rain showers. Some of those could be small hail producing thunderstorms later on tonight into far west Texas, traversing across portions of Arkansas. And then here's the main low pressure center that's still hanging off the coast of California. That's going to be the storm system that will be moving eastbound. So by the time you head into tomorrow afternoon, here is the main system. It's still going to be out towards Arizona, but they will be sending little pulses of energy again, these little short waves highlighted over Missouri, into Kansas, back through Arkansas, and into portions of Texas. That could kick off a renewed round of showers and thunderstorms, and those would likely start turning severe, especially as we head into the afternoon time frame. So here's what we have right now. The storm prediction center has in fact have a slight risk for severe weather just east of the dry line there in West Texas, extending from Oklahoma down into San Angelo, all the way into the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and out ahead of it, even to the Tulsa region. Just to the right of there into East Texas, we still could see a marginal threat. The main impact from this system is likely going to be elevated storms forming on top of the capping inversion. That means it's mainly a hail producing thunderstorm. Some of those could turn into some larger hail and some damaging winds. The tornado threat, even though it's not zero, it's not very strong. It's definitely on the low category. It's only a little bit higher as you get on the leading edge of this system, and that's where we could potentially see an isolated tornado with this system. But the main impact likely is going to be some larger hail with this system, and it's pretty messy because tomorrow morning, as you wake up into Thursday morning, here's this first impulse of energy. First of all, you got the little short wave that will be moving across, and I say it's messy because it's pretty sporadic. And first of all, this is going to be in the early morning hours with this first wave. So this would be likely, if you do see any hail out of this, it'd likely be on the smaller variety, some pocket change hail and some gustier winds with this particular setup. But as we head into the afternoon hours, that's when that second piece of energy that will be moving across that warned area. And this is the area that would likely see a potential to see some sporadic, isolated, larger hailstones out of that system, with another wave that will be moving across from West Texas into North Texas through the Oklahoma region and back into portions of Missouri as well as into Arkansas. But it's not until that third piece of energy, this would be in the overnight hours, heading into late Thursday night into Friday morning. So this is likely about 4 o'clock in the morning, right? This is where that main upper level low system will be starting to shift into Texas and provide additional lift and additional instability, and you should kick off a renewed area of concern. These are the ones I'm more concerned about turning a little bit isolated tornado threat with this system, especially if you live northwest of the DFW Metroplex. Further into the Metroplex, you're likely going to be seeing some isolated supercells that could have some larger hail. I still think they're more or less elevated and not turning surface based to keep them a little bit more tamer, especially through Texas. I think once it gets into portions of East Texas, I think it's a little bit more concerning, but that won't be until later in the day, Friday. But before that, here's where the overall helicity, maybe updrafts, would likely be. So it's pretty sporadic. There could be a swath of some of these maybe potentially larger hail producers through portions of Kansas, through Oklahoma there, back into West Texas there, and even portions of Central Texas. All these areas are under that slight risk for severe weather, with the main impact being some larger hail producers. So overall, for the next 48 hours, here's where the rain would likely fall. So you've got the low pressure center that's traversing up the coast right now. That definitely brings some heavier rains, especially the further along into the coast you live, towards South Jersey, into Delaware here, back into Long Island, as well as into Massachusetts and Connecticut, and to Rhode Island as well. And even southern portions of Maine would likely get some heavier rain for the next 2 days. And then there's the severe stuff that's mainly highlighted over Texas into Oklahoma through portions of Arkansas, and then just some heavier rains as you extend further north into Nebraska as well as into Missouri for the next 2 days. But like I mentioned, the main system would likely be going into Thursday and heading into Friday as that main upper level low will start to kind of bow out, and you have that more active subtropical jet stream will be swinging across. And once it hits into East Texas, likely into Friday, I think that's going to be the main player. So right now, the Storm Prediction Center, once we get past that 7 a.m. on Friday, that will be extending into East Texas. So that's why they've added and upgraded that risk, extending it to slight risk all the way through East Texas, through the Little Rock region, through the Shreveport region, back into Lake Charles, extending it all the way into New Orleans, into Mobile, and back into Jackson. It could swing as far north as, portions of Missouri here, as well as into Western Tennessee, and all the way up into the Birmingham region. This is the favorite area to see potentially some severe storms heading into Friday. And I think they really get going and take it more of a surface-based look as we head into Friday afternoon, as we get into East Texas and especially into Louisiana. I think that's where we have a more elevated tornado risk with this particular setup, and some larger hail with these systems as we head into Friday afternoon from the Shreveport region all the way down into New Orleans. I think this is the favorite area that would likely see more of a chance for all three modes of severe storms. And then the heavier rains really extends and amplify. You'll have an abundance amount of moisture that's coming in off the Gulf. You've got that lift mechanism with that upper level low, and the subtropical jet streams really screaming across. So you could see definitely some heavier, if not almost torrential rains at times, squeezing through central and southern portions of Mississippi, Alabama, as well as into Georgia here, and portions of the Carolinas. We could be looking at easily 2 to 4 inches of rain and just within a 24-hour period with this system as it moves across during the day on Friday. So here's what the overall learning model has right now. We've got the elevated risk across into Friday, but I think this continues with the more amplified version into Louisiana as well as into Mississippi. And then once we head into Saturday, that continues to traverse across, likely the southern flank, and then that will extend into Georgia through the Carolinas, and that will be another system that will be heading up the coast as we head into the weekend. And once you get into Sunday, it actually might turn to some snow, especially for those areas in northern New England there, especially into Maine. We could be looking at some pretty good snow happening for them. So the breakdown on the surface map kind of looks like this. Remember the colder air that's now blocked up into the northwest? That will be on the move. So as it continues to move across, we could get maybe some isolated snow showers kind of mixing in, especially for those areas along the Texas Panhandle. This would be a good thing because these are where the wildfires. They had some snow last week in Amarillo, but that's not where the fires are. They're from the end to the northeast of there. And hopefully this precipitation, snow, rain, or whatever may come, they'll take any form they get. Hopefully we can put at least some snow or some light rain showers across that region into western Oklahoma, far extreme portions of the Panhandle, as well as into Kansas. Will definitely help those firefighters out in a big way. And that's where the severe threat would likely be on Friday. And then once we head into Saturday, that'll be moving up the coast, and then the colder air will follow. But once we hit towards those areas into Maine, I think it actually turns into all snow. But there's the colder air. It's not like an Arctic blast or anything like that. Considering how warm we've been as of late, it's definitely cool and what you would typically feel like as you wake up on a normal March the 10th day, waking up in the 40s and if not the 30s in Oklahoma and back into the 30s again in Illinois. So this is a cool respite and very nice. Stronger systems tends to clean the atmosphere, kind of cleanse the atmosphere out on the backside. So what that means is on Sunday for a good part of the country, it's going to be nice. It's going to be very nice conditions, as that cold front will be sweeping all the nastiness off the East Coast by then. Really, the only instability will be up there in northern New England, like Vermont and New Hampshire, with that low pressure center getting close to Maine by then. That's when you guys are going to be seeing some of that heavier snowfall, especially on the northern flank of the state of Maine. But other than that, back behind it, it's pretty clear skies, and it's going to be a really nice Sunday coming up for a good majority of the U.S. But overall, here's where the snow could likely fall. So we'll have that system dive down from the northwest to the southeast, put a blanket of snow across the Rockies, through areas of eastern Colorado as well, areas of western Nebraska, western Kansas. We're going to try to sneak some little bit of light snow or whatever could fall down there in the Panhandle. They'll take anything they get. And then once that system hangs up the East Coast on late Saturday, especially into Sunday, that could be leaving some heavier snows into Vermont and New Hampshire, as well as into Maine. Some of these areas actually could pick up some 8, 10, if not some isolated 1 foot totals in northern Maine going into the day on Sunday. And then overall, here's your rain prospects. So we'll have this system that will be moving across. We'll have these little short waves, these little impulses. So real likely the main setup is in West Texas, especially through North and East Texas, going through Oklahoma into Kansas, and then some heavier rains through Missouri back into Arkansas. But the more intense heavier rains along with the severe storms will be traversed across the southeast. And then there's that swath of heavier rains, easily 2 to 4, possibly 4 to 6 inches in some isolated spots through Alabama, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and then the Carolinas. And then there's the system as it races up the eastern seaboard with their own elevated rains and their own 2 to 4 inches, especially closer to the coast. You live lighter amounts as you extend in through the Ohio Valley, with likely about 1 to possibly 2 inch totals between now and say late Monday. So guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, definitely hit the subscribe button. and catch my next update where I protect you before and after storm.